applying the scoring rubric to the performance tasks, for me at first was very difficult. I think that as a teacher, I'm constantly trying to say, well, what was the student thinking? How did they come to this answer? And I think many teachers do that. Many teachers were often diagnosing, what do I do next in order to help this student? Scoring's a little bit different. In my mind, it's a different type of action. It's like, what's the evidence of what is here? It's the first step. First we score. What is the evidence we're looking for, and what is that? I give it a score. Then I can come in and reason or look at, now how do I support the student? It's like a two-step process.
And that's really essential, that the rubric matches what you're asking students to do, and that you only hold them accountable to what you've asked them to do.
I know both for myself and even in the trainings that I've been able to be a part of, sometimes teachers are struggling as to, but why? Why do they have to say that to score the 2 points? And as we begin to see more and more examples of they can actually get points presenting answers in different ways and still achieve that, and we begin to have a better understanding of why that rubric is set up the way it is, we'll be more comfortable as instructors. But it is a struggle because sometimes we see an answer that we feel shows some understanding that a student has, but doesn't meet the requirements of the rubric. So sometimes there can be frustration. Anytime we can collaborate, and whether we're scoring with a partner, whether we're team teaching, any collaboration, especially I think in the field of education, helps us so much as an educator. We get someone else's perspective. We sometimes find information in students' work that it didn't dawn on us before, what their answer potentially meant to us as an instructor. So it helps to have that dialogue of what can I learn about this student? What can I learn about my teaching? What did I miss? And again, sometimes we do get to be islands, especially as classroom teachers. So any time we have the opportunity to collaborate, it's just a positive environment to be working in.
You know, a lot of times scoring on your own, again, you're really leaning on your own understanding. This is how I teach it. So this is really the responses that I'm looking for. And usually you make your own rubric. Working with a partner, now we have a rubric, so we've got at least a standardization of what we're looking for. And we both brought different perspectives to the table. And that was kind of nice because maybe you were reading into a student's response on something, and then the other person would go, okay, let's go back look at the rubric, and let's just make sure we're just looking at what they said. And so I think that, you know, just bringing different philosophies, different classroom strategies, different, actually coming from 2 different districts as well, where maybe the focus is on different areas of the Common Core, I think that really helped to analyze student work. I think it made it more beneficial, and I think it made it much more productive.
I think that it would be an excellent starting place for PLCs. If you're scoring work together, then there are conversations that sort of flow out of that almost automatically about what the data tells us about why students are doing well or students are doing poorly. So it's a really great way to calibrate one another, calibrate with one another, not only strictly about the assessment itself, but you sort of end up calibrating about instruction. And there, you have these rich conversations about what kind of reteaching needs to be done and what next steps are. And you don't want to do that in isolation because ideally, again, like I said, you want a PLC type of setup in your building or in your district where you are using data to drive your decision making. And I think scoring student work is the very start of that data-driven decision making.